Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. This is a show that all of you have been asking for, and we are lucky to have him back. It is That ADU Guy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for doing this. We're going to do several episodes next week. We are actually recording this on Mother's Day, so I've only got time for one. But what I want to do here for you is I want to answer a question a lot of people have asked. That is basically, hey, Michael, you're a buy and hold guy. You've bought in all kinds of markets. Why did you decide to build an ADU, right? So everybody that watches my channel knows, I think it was late August, might've been early September. I made the choice that, hey, I'm going to build something, right? I'm going to build an ADU. First time I'd ever done it. I have done lots of remodels, done a bunch of flips, but back in let's just call it September of 2021, I wasn't finding the deals, right? The market was still bonkers. And I had acquired some assets that had some land. And I'm like, nope, the best use of my money is going to be build an ADU. So what I want to do here is just pull up a spreadsheet, kind of use round numbers for the country based on your experience and really help people answer why I decided to build an ADU. You ready for that?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Awesome. We'll do this again at the end, but you're going to be providing so much value. I want to make sure I don't forget. Where do you want to send people? Because you are really helping people with ADUs and people are going to see the math in a minute. Where should we send them?
You can check me out at thataduguy.com. I've got a link to my YouTube channel there, my Instagram, my phone number is on there. If you call me, I will answer. Just be ready to take action. So that's all I ask is if you reach out, be ready to act.
Folks, one rental at a time. Thousands of you are going to watch this video. Again, thataduguy.com. He put his phone number there. Call him, text him, see what's going on. Here we go. So let me just answer the question. Why is Zuber going to build an ADU? So again, if you watch my channel, you're one of my students, you know that I talk about something I call yield. Other people call it return on capital. Some people call it cash on cash. But I just want to answer the question because I don't know that everybody understands. So when I think about yield, I think about how much cash comes out of my account and then how much cash I get back on a monthly basis. It is really, really that simple. So Derek, in your experience, let's use round numbers for the country and then I'll put in my numbers in Fresno. What do you, do you have a ballpark number on cost per square foot to build an ADU? Do you have a round number?
Yeah. So I use $225 a square foot, and that's all in, permits, build, everything, all included. And that's kind of within 200 feet of the primary structure on a flat lot that's got grade of 3% or less.
See, this is why I like talking to professionals and people are experienced. He just gave you a bunch of caveats that I would never think about. Flat lot, grade this, grade that. Again, I'm not the ADU guy. He's the ADU guy. Don't ask me questions, ask him. But this is just a ballpark figure, right? So again, $250 a square foot.
So and yeah, if we're going to go detached on this whole thing, let's just clarify that, because if we were attached, I would cut that in half. So for your listeners, let's just define the product. Are we looking attached, conversion, or detached?
Let's say detached. That's what I'm building. So we'll do that. And then we will do rents. So again, folks, I give away everything I do. I'm such an open book. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, in September, probably the middle of September, once I found my architect, and I actually have it on my channel. Again, I keep giving. So my architect tells me, okay, great. We want to build an ADU in your specific location. The largest one you could build is 1,250 square feet. Mistake number one. I go, great, let's build 1,250 square feet. Again, I don't know what I'm doing, folks. I know this was a mistake. So out of this, right. So let's just put this in 1,250 square feet. Let's move this down because I'm building this in real time. So again, right. If you do this math times this, right, it's going to cost me $312,000 to build this structure. Right. And in my world, again, I paid to have this done. I paid for this mistake. This was going to be a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 1,250 square foot, 1-story house. This is what I was getting, right? In my area, rent for this would be about, for that 3.2 would have been about $1,500 a month. right? Or let's times this by 12. This is a year. So this equals this times 12. So I'm a numbers guy. I look at this, I add property management expenses, my increase in taxes, all this stuff. And basically I look at this and I go, Derek, I'm going to get a 5% return.
Yeah, that's work. That's not an investment, Michael.
Yeah, exactly. So I look at this going, well, my first thought, 100% honesty, I'm just going to buy deals. Because again, my average deal in my market was 6%. Why would I build something that produces 5? And oh, by the way, I get the lot for free, right? The land's free. That's not even in this cost. And I'm like, well, that's a stupid idea. So of course, I talked to other people in my network. I got a buddy in Fresno named Brad, who I call, and he politely, but ever so eloquently says, Zuber, stop being stupid. I go, what do you mean? He goes, why the hell are you building a 1,250 square feet? You're smarter than that. I go, what do you mean? He goes, what do you tell me every time? I go, what do you mean? He goes, don't you tell me all the time you would love to buy all the 1-bedroom, 1-bath houses in Fresno if you could? I go, yeah. He goes, well, why is that? Because they produce amazing return and I have no competition. He goes, what are you doing? I go, shit, I'm building a 3-2 with everything. I'm not looking at the best yield. So we go work with an architect and we find a way to build something that's 600 and I think it was, let's just call it 600 square feet. Now it's less than half as much. And oh, by the way, I get $1,200 rent instead. Now I'm like, all right, again, using these numbers, I'm not going to spend $250 a square foot in Fresno. I will spend about half that is my goal. I get a great return, right? So if we use my Fresno numbers, and again, I might be wrong on this, but I've got lots of relationships and subs. I think I can get about to 125 a square foot. Now I'm building something for 75 that's going to produce 14. After all said and done, I'm going to be making 11, 12% on my money. Now you got my attention, especially in the hot market of late 2021, when I couldn't find a deal to save my life at 6%. So this is why Michael Zuber is building an ADU, because it is maximizing my return. What do you think of all this?
I think you're spot on. And I think the few things that you missed only benefit you as the builder and holder of this. And I'll touch on a couple of those real quickly. So if we compare that 12, 13, 14% that we're assuming you're going to make here to what we think of normally, which would be a single family house or even a multifamily, it's amortized over 30 years. This is a lot different. It's better than it meets the eye because this is going to be paid off in 8 to 10 years. So that number, that return is going to be infinite a lot sooner, like 3 times faster. So we're trying to buy deals at 8 to 10% in single family, when if we do our homework and we plan right and we have a good system like this, you can go in and you can obviously beat those returns and they pay themselves off 3 times faster. So that's a great point. To touch on the boutique pricing, you know, you can rent a 1-bedroom for $1,200. You're not going to rent a 2-bedroom for $2,400.
Right.
And what's so cool about this model of building smaller is you're going to have less property management issues because you've got less people opening and closing the front door. You've got less people pulling in and out. You've got less trash, less waste running down the pipe. There's a lot of reasons, but the main one that we need to focus on, and your listeners should write this down, is that a detached standalone accessory dwelling unit is a really high demand product with low supply. So, and your friend might have told you this, but this is the key, that every 1 in the 600 square foot range, just about, especially in your market, I've familiarized myself with it, is going to be a shared wall apartment, like 95% of the time.
Oh, it's, I mean, I've been there for 20 years. I think I had somebody run a search for me one time, because again, that's just kind of the geek I am. Fresno County. I want to be exact. I think it was 1,087 detached, at least zoned detached units at about that size, about 600 square feet. They're not there. They were built a lot in the 50s, like casitas and things of that nature. There are some illegal garage conversions, which obviously are not captured in this search, but permitted structures, yeah, there's not very many. Again, supply and demand. And to your point, the reason I want small structures is Why? The real answer is because I print money. People get in and they never leave. The
Yeah,
last thing,
they're very recession resistant as well. That's worth noting today in today's market.
yes. Yeah, again, they don't turn over. People again, what are they going to do? They're going to trade this for an apartment. They will do everything they can to stay. And oh, by the way, you add a fence, bring the little cat or dog. I mean, my average tenure in 1-bedroom, 1-bath houses or small 2-1s are through the roof. They've got to be over a decade now. And that's what I want. And oh, by the way, if you do have a turn, I promise you this month, a turn on a 600 square foot unit is cheaper than a 1,200 square foot unit. It just is.
Yeah, no, great points, Michael.
Yeah. So again, this is why I'm doing this. Is I'm going to do it. It's certainly taking me longer. I not only have to deal with the city, but the little area of town has their own little boutique standards board, which seems to be where I'm stuck. But I do think ADUs are the answer. I actually think a lot of us, my intention, at least in my market, is to finally get something certified that we can just rinse and repeat. Once this design is done and approved, my intention and why we're going through extra steps is I can just go to the counter and get a rubber stamp next time. So it's taking a little longer. But yeah, I'm going to hopefully build a dozen of these for this exact reason, because it is the best return. And oh, by the way, in this example, my 12% return assumes I pay cash. What if I go back and burr out half that or whatever, right? It's just the numbers get stupid after a while.
Yeah, great. I've got a couple pointers that I'd throw on there if we have time. The burring out. So some markets aren't really appreciating their value yet, but here are a couple tricks to help coach your appraiser. So if you build one of these and you want to get some of your money back out, you're going to build it with leverage. What I always do is I ask the appraiser that's assigned, that has the assignment. I say, hey, I don't want to do your job. I know you're a professional. Can I offer you some data? Because I did this project and I think some of my data will save you time. And I've never had anybody say no. And then I simply provide them, similar to, like Dion's binder with comparable rentals. I say, hey, this is what these rent for in our area. And by the way, here's a spreadsheet. This is where we have to be better at what we do, because as builders and developers, we're not good at keeping numbers all the time. We want as you're building yours, Michael, keep a very, very, very detailed list of costs. And when you provide that with comparable rents, the appraisers cannot help but give you the value they're worth. So I hear the excuse all the time, well, I built an ADU for 150 and it only appraised for 80. Well, you obviously didn't coach your appraiser. And by coaching, I mean, hey, can I please give you this data? This is what it cost me to build. That's a good way to get your money back out. So it's worth saying. And then the other piece, your last point was you want to come up with a model that you can rinse and repeat. A couple tips for that is one, a lot of cities right now have pre-approved, already signed off over-the-counter permits. They're coming to a city near you. If your city doesn't have them, they're coming. I've personally been able to provide a couple of those to my local city and county. I know they're working on them where you're at. And then the second piece is, if they do not, ask your city for a designer or architect or draftsman that works in your area. And what that does is it empowers you to get somebody that they have a relationship with. One of your listeners called me, Carlos. He said, hey, I'm going to build an ADU in Fresno and I'm having a hard time with the design standards because it's in a historic district. And he said, the city did give me a list of a couple of people to call. And I said, that's solid gold. If the city says call these people, that means they have a relationship. If something's wrong because your roof pitch is off and you're not going to meet the design standard for Old Town District, the planner will call that designer and they'll fix that over the phone. And you're not going to be stuck in a 2-month delay of returning an incomplete application and vice versa. And it sounds like that's where you got stuck, was meeting these, the really archaic standards of you have to match a 1920s house.
Exactly.
So those are some tricks to avoid those delays.
Yes. See, this is why I have experts on the channel. Again, folks, what makes One Rental at a Time channel different is, yes, I have my area of expertise, but it is very, very narrow. I bring on experts like Derek, that ADU guy, because I'm trying to help you guys really change your financial future. Derek, one more time, where can we send people? Because I think ADUs are going to be a way for people to print money and be a very good use of capital in the very, very near future.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. That eduguy.com. You can follow me there. I'm that edu guy on Instagram, on YouTube, TikTok. You can call me, you can text me. Again, if you reach out, all I ask is that you're ready to take action.
I love that. Ready to take action. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. We will be back at it next Sunday. You ready?
Yeah, I'll be there. Thank you.
Very cool, man. Take care.